Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you, and welcome to the Illuminated Heart podcast. My name is Ahlam Riyashi and I am your host. This podcast is for the souls who seek to find holistic healing in Allah and who desire to become better versions of themselves spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. We will be exploring topics on mental health, combined with Islamic spirituality, as well as incorporating tips on self-love, healing, empowerment, positive mindset, and more. So if you are that soul that is interested on embarking this journey, I am so glad you're here. Let's start healing together. This week I want to talk about another very important topic, and that is about Muslim men and their mental health. Although my podcast is primarily aimed at Muslim women, I want to use my platform to raise awareness on important topics that aren't discussed enough, and one of them is this. I was contacted by Muslim men who have confided in me that they are struggling in their mental health. And so I decided it's important I address this today because there are a few Muslim men who listen to this podcast. So this one is for you. I want you to know that suffering in your mental health is completely normal. It's okay. It's normal. It simply means that you're a human being. I want you to also know that it's okay for you to speak up. You deserve to have a safe space in which you can share your difficulties. I want you to know that speaking up about your problems does not mean that you're weak. It does not mean that you are less of a man, because these are beliefs that you may have been raised with. These are beliefs that young boys are raised with, being told that being a man means that you shouldn't cry, you shouldn't show your emotions, you should act tough, you should show that you are unaffected by anything. And these are the beliefs that are causing severe damage to men in the Muslim community today and causing them to suffer in silence. I think it's important that we raise this awareness and normalize that men go through mental health problems too, and men deserve to speak up about their problems as well. It's really, really, really important. Whether it be about your mental health, your physical health, that you aren't really well or you're suffering with something and you need to see the doctor, don't put it off. Whether you're struggling in your marriage, whether you're struggling financially, whether you're struggling within your family, whatever your problem is, it is really important that you find a space in which you can share your grievances without being judged and being supported. I know it isn't easy speaking about your problems, and men are less likely to open up compared to women. That's true. But pretending that everything's okay and everything's normal isn't helping you, isn't serving you. What's happening is many Muslim men are suffering in silence and no one is knowing about the difficulty that they're going through. And it can have such a detrimental impact that it can even get to the point of suicidal ideation. It is known in the UK that the number one reason for deaths amongst men, young men, is suicide. And that is because of the fact that men aren't able to speak up about their problems. And I believe that there's also a lack of support for men as well. We know of many support groups for women, but there isn't much support out there for men, especially Muslim men. I want to also raise the awareness that men can be victims of abuse as well. Abuse can take place within a marriage, so it can be a wife abusing a husband. It can take place in a family setting, so family members abusing a male individual. And it can also happen within Islamic institutions. Male victims can be subjected to physical abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse, spiritual abuse, financial abuse, and even sexual abuse. So it's important to know that men can be victims too, and they really need our support. I understand that it may be difficult for you to even share your difficulties with your male companions because perhaps they may judge you for it, and they may even laugh at you. They may make jokes at you because they're also raised with the same beliefs and they've accepted those beliefs. So now when you try to speak up, you feel shamed for doing so and made to feel less of a man. I really hope that isn't the people that you have in your circle. I really hope that the guys that you have around you are men whom you can speak to in confidence, who will listen to you, comfort you, and validate your emotions. If you're a brother listening right now and you're struggling, whatever your struggle is, it's really important that you speak to someone. Please don't be suffering in silence on your own. I know it isn't easy to speak up about your problems, and it feels uncomfortable. I know it does, even for women, but I really hope you can understand it isn't a sign of weakness. In fact, it takes a lot of courage and strength for you to step forward and say, I'm not okay. I'm really struggling. I need support. I need help. It's okay for you as a man to say that you need help. You are a human being. You're not a robot. Allah created you with emotions, with a heart that pains, with a mind that can be overwhelmed, with a soul that can become exhausted, with a body that aches. So it is important that you look after yourself, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us all to look after ourselves, your mind, your body, and your soul. Whether you feel more comfortable speaking to a family member or a friend, or perhaps you'd feel more comfortable speaking to a stranger. But the most important thing is that you speak to someone. But like I've mentioned in my episode 5 of my podcast, I would recommend that you seek a professional counselor or a coach, because these are people who will not judge you and who will support you in whatever you need to express. They will not shame you. They will not make you feel less of a man. They will not project their own beliefs or their own opinions onto you. Because sometimes you may open up to someone and they may cause more damage than good. So speaking to a counselor is always the best option. But if you have family members and friends who are really understanding and empathetic, who understand that mental health is a problem for men too, and who can support you, then do speak to them. Seek support. You can also speak to a GP. GPs are one of the quickest way that you can get support, mentally and also physically. Don't be scared to speak to your GP about your problem. Again, they're there to help you. They'll be able to refer you to professional counseling services, to organizations that offer support, whether that be mental health support or support for abuse victims. And they can also recommend medication for you. Again, it's okay for you to take medication for your mental health. Because of the fact that men are less verbal in expressing their emotions, a male suffering from depression would less likely complain that they're feeling low. Their symptoms would be more prevalent in their body reactions, and they may complain of fatigue, irritability, sleep problems, loss of interest in work and hobbies. They may display symptoms of anger, aggression, reckless behavior, and perhaps even substance abuse. So if you know someone who is displaying symptoms like this, they're acting a bit out of character, they're not their normal selves, it may be worth having a chat with them and making them feel comfortable enough to express whatever it is that they are going through. It's important to comfort them and let them know that it's okay to speak about your emotions, to normalize having a mental health problem as a man, and it is not a sign of weakness. Reminding them those things, I think, is really, really important. Crying and expressing your emotions is not a sign of weakness and does not make you less of a man. I need to repeat this again and again, okay? Because rather, it is a sign of emotional intelligence, which is a beautiful and attractive quality to have. It means that you are someone who recognizes your emotions, and you would be able to recognize emotions in others. Being hard-hearted and showing no emotions wasn't the way of the Prophet ﷺ. That's not what it means to be a man. If we want to see what it means to be a man, we look at the Prophet ﷺ, who expressed his emotions. We know of many points through his lifetime where he shed tears, and he did that in front of people, in front of his male companions. So should we say that the Prophet ﷺ was less of a man? Astaghfirullah, we couldn't say that. That is not the case at all. He was the best of men. He was emotionally intelligent. He embraced his emotions and showed compassion for others when they showed emotion. He showed when he was in pain, and even the other prophets, peace be upon them. We know of many stories of the prophets grieving and expressing their difficulty, expressing their hardship, crying. I again talked about this in episode 5 about depression as a Muslim. If you've not already listened to that, check it out. But I mentioned of Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam, who wept so much at the loss of his son that he lost his eyesight. And he was a man of God, a man of Allah, right? So piety or being a man does not lie in pretending that you're a robot and that you don't have emotions, because Allah created you with them. And more than anything, I think it's really important that men are able to express these emotions within their homes, because as a man, you hide these emotions from the rest of the world. You go out to work, you go out and engage with society, holding on a brave face, but you should be able to break down in front of your close loved ones. You should be able to express yourself like that and be supported. And if you don't have a space like this at home, it can be miserable, and you need to find another place elsewhere, and that is with a professional counselor. I believe that we can make a change by providing a safe space for the Muslim men and young boys in our lives to talk about their emotions. I think it's also important to raise the next generation of young men with emotional intelligence, to teach them about their emotions, to embrace their emotions, to teach them that it's okay to cry, to counteract the negative stereotypes of what it means to be a man, to teach them the prophetic demonstration of what it means to be a man. For the sisters here, check in on your brothers, check in on your father, on your husband, on your sons, on your cousins, the males that you have in your life. Check in on them. Ask them if they're okay. Make them feel comforted. For the brothers, check in with yourself, first of all, and also check in with your fellow Muslim brothers. Give them a space in which they can talk about their problems without feeling judged and without feeling shamed. If you have never had counseling before, then this is the year to try it out. It's an investment for yourself. Seeking counseling not only helps you with your mental health problems, but it may be also the best way in which you can discover yourself, because you discover about your core wounds, your triggers, what kind of person you are, what is really hurting you inside, and from there you can find healing in order to live your best life, in order to be the best possible Muslim you can be. Because once you heal yourself, you'll be able to be the best to those around you. Please do check out the links down below that I have attached. I hope that you will be able to find a counselor who suits you and who can help you in your healing journey. Thank you so much for listening. If you have found this episode to be really helpful, please do share it with other Muslim brothers who may benefit from this and whom you think may need that support. And inshallah, I'll see you back here very soon.